Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new 1/18 scale Lord of the Rings figures from Mcfarlane Toys. When I saw these things go up, when they got announced here, probably, I don't know, less than a month ago, I think at this point, maybe even just 2 or 3 weeks, I love Lord of the Rings, and I still collect 1/18 scale figures. I still collect old school vintage 80s G.I. Joe and Star Wars, and I also collect newer G.I. Joe and Star Wars, whether it's vintage collection stuff or some of the 30th, 40th, and 50th anniversary 1/18 scale G.I. Joe stuff and all the vehicles and that kind of thing. I still collect a lot of that stuff. In fact, in some ways, I actually like that stuff a little bit better than I like 1/12 scale stuff. Although you wouldn't know that by my collection, but when I saw these come out, I was like, man, those look cool. I got to pick them up. So I did. I walked into Walmart and they had the whole wave, which is 4 figures. We've got Helm Hammerhand here. We've got Wolf here. Here we have Hera. And here we have Shank. And they actually come with a Build-A-Figure for a Snow Troll. So what we're going to do is crack all these guys open. We're going to put the troll together, take a look at these figures, and see what we think. All right, so here we have them all lined up and out of the package. And just a real quick go over articulation because there's not much going on here. Basically, you've got 8 POA articulation here. So I believe that's very similar to the Superpowers line. So you've got basically back and forth there on the arms. You've got rotation at the head. You've got rotation at the waist. You've got hip rotation, and then you've got knees. And that's basically it. So we've got the figures here. And you see this is what they look like up close. I think they look pretty damn good. We've got cloth capes here. Good detailing on them. They look nice. Now, my understanding is they're going to be doing an animated series for this, what is it, the War of Rohirrim or whatever. I forget how you say that word. So they're actually going to be doing an animated series, or is it a series or a movie? I don't remember. Of course, we've got Shank here, or Skank, or whatever his name is. I don't know much about this story, to be honest. We got the same articulation with him. I think he looks pretty damn good there. Then we've got Wolf right here, kind of our kind of stereotypical hero-looking character, very Aragorn-esque with his sword. And kudos to Mcfarlane for actually making it to where they can properly hold their weapons. Their grip hands are all done very well and hold on to their weapons really, really nicely. Nice cloth goods cape there, if I could speak properly. And then, of course, we have, I guess, our king, or whatever he's supposed to be. Very regal looking, nice armor, well painted, great head sculpt, big war hammer there. Got the cloth goods cape, looks great. And then, of course, we have our Snow Troll Build-A-Figure right here. And he doesn't have as much articulation as the rest of them. He basically is 5 POA, so no knees. He actually does have a waist swivel, but it doesn't really move, so what is that, 6 POA? His head is on a ball joint, but it doesn't really do anything but do this. Because the space there is so close that you can't really get anything else. No tilt, anything like that out of him. We've got the kind of thick plastic pieces right here. But he does have good detailing there on all the kind of bony protrusions sticking out there. We've got the armor there. Head sculpt looks great. He's big. He's bulky. I think these guys look fantastic. Now, to quickly kind of compare them to some other kind of 1/18 scale figures that I have in my collection. So we've got a old school retro. I think this is what, version 2 or 3 Storm Shadow. And you can see if we put him next to our king there, and he's actually on a little bit of a stand, so he's a little bit taller there. You can see even on that stand, he's a little bit shorter than this guy. Then, of course, we'll get an old school Star Wars figure, vintage Star Wars figure right there. That's actual like 1980 Han Solo, Bespin Solo. And you can see he's a little bit smaller than our new guy right here. Then let's get some newer 1/18 scale figures. These are 3 3/4. Now we'll look at kind of more the 4-inch scale, kind of the newer stuff. Now again, he's on a stand, so you can see this G.I. Joe. I think this is a 40th or is this 25th anniversary bat. He's a little bit taller than our guy here, but that's because he is on a stand right here. And then, of course, we have what I think is personally the greatest Darth Vader figure ever made. This, of course, the one that came out, what was it, last year or year before? The Dark Times Darth Vader from the Vintage Collection. And you can see he's taller than this guy as well. So I think this guy is somewhere, I think this whole setup is probably somewhere between 3 3/4 and 4-inch scale figures. Still well within what we would consider 1/18 scale. You know, because 1/18 scale does cover that whole, you know, 3 3/4 to 4-inch scale figures. And I think these definitely fall in there. So if, like me, you guys collect this scale of figures, these are great little figures to have. I mean, they are limited in articulation compared to, you know, Vintage Collection or any of the G.I. Joes. Certainly more articulation than old school, you know, vintage 80s Star Wars with the 8 POA. But really, really cool little figures. I like them. Lots of great detail. They actually hold their weapons properly, and they look really great. Now, let's talk about price here real quick, because that's where I'm going to get a little bit negative. And these things are $20 a piece. And even with a Build-A-Figure, I don't think that these things should be $20 a piece. You know, with the Build-A-Figure, I would say maybe close to Vintage Collection. So what's Vintage Collection now? About $16.99 a piece. I would say that's the top end, because first of all, these things don't have the articulation of, you know, 4-inch scale Vintage Collection figures, but they do come with a Build-A-Figure piece. So I'd say roughly you're getting about the same amount of value that you would get with a Vintage Collection figure. But at $20 a piece, I think it's just too much. Now look, obviously I still bought them, right? So you've got $80 here for essentially 5 figures, one of which is a big, huge, kind of bulky figure, especially for, you know, 1/18 scale. It is a great figure. Is it worth $80 for all of these? I don't think so. I think they are a little bit overpriced. They're still really cool, and maybe you can kind of say, hey, look, there's not a lot of Lord of the Rings figures out there, so you're paying a little bit of a premium to get something, you know, specifically for this franchise. I get that. I still think, you know, pound for pound, you know, dollars for plastic here, I don't think you're getting $20 worth of value out of these, to be honest. But maybe you're like me and you know that going in, which I did, and you decide, hey, you know what, they're still cool figures, I'm gonna overpay for them. You know, if that's you, cool. I certainly did it, so I'm not gonna judge you on that, but just realistically, they're not really worth $20 a piece. I would put them in the $10 to $15 category, honestly, because that's what he's doing his superpowers figures for. And these are, again, 1/18 scale. He's doing 5-inch scale figures, more plastic for less money. Honestly, I would have hoped he would have put these out at probably $15 tops, but he didn't. They're $20 a piece, so make of that what you will. And if you find value in it like I did, spend the money. If you don't, pass on it. Or if you just don't care about Lord of the Rings or 1/18 scale figures, hey, feel free to pass on them. I think they're cool. I know I overspent on them, but I'm still glad that I have them. So anyway, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. I appreciate you guys watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.